Hey everyone, it's Kane, your friendly neighborhood challenge runner. Recently, I did a collage of my NG+7 runs in the Dark Souls trilogy, and people enjoyed it so much that some of you were asking me for my Liza P single stat runs to be in one video. So I'm here today to bring you my technique run, advanced run, and the bonking motivity run all in one video for your enjoyment. So grab lunch or dinner, a blanket or bucket of ice water, depending where you're at, and let's get this ride started. But first, speaking of lunch and dinner, that brings me to today's sponsor, Factor. With summer upon us, that brings many of us with busy schedules of getting vacations planned out, going on vacations, or even just trying to get work done around the house. After long days like those, we all just want a nice balanced meal to re-energize us for the next busy day. But instead, we got so busy the food we had went bad. Luckily for you, dear viewer, this doesn't have to be you if you use Factor. Factor delivers chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep, making it easy to enjoy delicious, nutritious food all summer long without spending hours in the kitchen. With Factor, you don't have to plan, prep, or even clean up. With having ready-to-eat meals, it takes all the effort out of eating well, so you can use that precious time of yours on the things you want to be doing. On top of having more free time, every Factor meal is made with real high-quality ingredients, balanced macros, and at least 2 servings of vegetables to help keep you on track with your nutrition goals this summer. Factor for me has been super helpful this summer, especially with me moving houses. The food arrived quickly and neatly packaged. To make the meals, it's super quick. You just need to puncture a few holes in the plastic wrap and put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and bam, you have a healthy meal for you to enjoy. My favorite meal was the roasted garlic chicken and the meatball mozzarella calzone. It was so good, in fact, it had me scraping every little bit off the plate. With being someone who likes to train on a regular basis, cooking and work can take over that time I need to work out, but with Factor, it helped free up some of that time so I can hit my fitness goals this summer. Factor has been a lifesaver this summer for me with giving me more time for work, working out, and free time to move. Factor has helped me eat healthy with my busy schedule, and it can do the same for you. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use a Kane FB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code Kane FB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Factor and I would like to thank you for your time, and with that said, we can get into the rules for this run. Rule number 1, I can only level 1 stat in each run. First run will be technique, second run will be advanced, and the third run will be motivity, which means I cannot level any other stat but those. Rule number 2, no summons, gotta do it on my own. And lastly, rule number 3, I must beat all bosses, and for clarification, I did these runs way before the DLC came out, so this will just be base game. With the rules done with, let's get this adventure started. For the starting class, I of course went with the Path of Bastard since it has the highest technique and vigor, which in this game, vigor is endurance, interestingly enough. With my class picked, I am given the Wintry Rapier, which I gleefully test out on the local puppet police. It's always a good day when I get to poke some enemies with my long sword. So, a quick rundown for those who have not played Liza P. The weapon blade and hilt each have their own fable art, aka weapon arts. For the Wintry Rapier, its blade has the Storm Stab, which is a heavy-hitting multi-hit attack, whereas its handle has a guard parry, which when timed right, you parry the enemy followed by a devastating attack. With that quick lesson over with, let's get back to the run. After poking some puppets, I ran into the head honcho of the group, who for sure put up a good fight, but he couldn't handle a good old pimp slap to the face. After taking out the Popo, I made my way into Krot Central Station Plaza and looted the entire area of its ergo fragments. A grand total of 8 fragments, a very generous amount for the starting area. Before popping the fragments, I used the ergo I got from killing enemies to buy 2 electric blitz. With my shopping done, I picked me out a new outfit that is more fitting of a puppet of my stature. Now I'm looking like a fine young pimp. I then crush and snort some fragments to level up my technique to 16. Once done leveling, it's time to crash a festival and take on the Parade Master. Now, the last time I played Liza P was when it released, and I remember this boss being a lot harder than he was. Parade Master's attacks were so well telegraphed and made for easy parries, combined with the multi-hit charge attack of the Rapier and the almighty Pimp Slap, Parade Master really didn't stand a chance. Near the end of the fight, I was even able to get the Blade's Fable art off to weaken Parade Master just enough to just finish it with some good old pokes. With Parade Master out of commission, I collect some more fragments along the way and a hidden moonstone, which is the upgrade material in this game. After collecting some goods, I am then questioned by the hotel defense system whether I'm a puppet or human, and I of course lie because what pimp tells the truth? Once inside, I meet this beautiful woman, who definitely got my P organ pounding. For those of you who do not know, the P organ in this game is your heart. Don't blame me, blame the game.
Sure, blame the game.
Shut up, Scully. Come to find out, her name is Sophia, and I have declared to give up my Pippin ways if it means being with her. But she wants me to earn it first, so I have to go save the town or something like that. The things we do for love. So I make haste through the city, taking out the entire police force to find a lady in distress about her child. So, like the good neighborhood pimp that I am, I take on the task. But there's a coked up donkey man that wants to kill me for no good reason. Damn crackheads. The mad donkey wasn't hard at all. He is like any Dark Souls enemy where you can just walk behind him and get backstabs off. Pretty sure Dark Souls NPC invaders do a better job of preventing this, but with some well-timed thrust from behind, the mad donkey goes down. With the crackhead defeated, I come to find my father in the carriage. And oh dear lord, is that what I'm gonna look like when I get older? Fuck me. After having a quarter-life crisis, I run away from my father and find the missing child, which turns out to be a puppet. Well, it's still better than being a crazy cat lady. I reunite the child and mother and reinforce her belief that the child is real. I then pimp walk back to the hotel to upgrade my weapon to +2. Snort some more fragments to level myself up to 25. I then proceed to pick up the Puppet Destroyer's amulet to take on the main Popo himself, Scrapped Watchman. Another boss that I had a really rough time with on my first playthrough. If I remember correctly, it was around like 10 to 12 deaths, but this time I just had no issues with him. Granted, he did slap me around for a bit, which made me think, oh, here we go again, to then recover from it and figure out his timing to get a super clean kill with the Storm Stab, which broke Watchman for me to get a visceral attack to then finish him off with some aggressive poking. After taking out the head of the police force, I head back over to the hotel to talk with my father about my P organ. I don't know what y'all want me to say, it's literally called the P organ. So, the P organ is the skill tree in this game where you use quartz to get access to new abilities and passive abilities. Starting off, I decided to go with the extra Fable slot with increasing my ergo gain and enhancing my Fable art damage. After tinkering with my P organ for a bit, like all men do, I break my way into Veneti Works to hop down into some poison to fight the puppet of the future. He honestly doesn't do anything special. He'll twirl a bit, maybe try and step on you, but just walking back and forth is enough to dodge everything. No clue why they gave him a boss bar, but there's 2 more of them later on, funny enough. Optional bosses aside, I came down here for the Booster Glaive Blade, which even though it looks like a strength weapon, it's actually a dex weapon. The Booster Glaive's Blade's Fable art is Storm Slash, which rushes you forward while doing multiple slashing attacks, but more importantly, its Hilt's Fable art Patient Slash allows the user to charge the attack to boost forward and hit the enemy with a strong attack. This Fable art right here is one of the reasons I got the weapon. The other reason is its heavy charge attack that also boosts you forward, dealing a heavy attack, which is great for keeping distance and closing gaps real quick. With having the glaive, I then upgraded to +2 and take on the next crackhead, Survivor. Well, isn't that ironic? Either way, he's the same as Donkey. I just walk around for backstabs and boost slap him a couple of times. Easy peasy. With Survivor no longer being a Survivor, I collect a few more upgrade materials to get my glaive to +3. Level my technique up to 38, tinker with my P organ for a bit, if you know what I mean, and take on the next actual boss, King's Flame Fluko. Now, this was a boss I did not struggle with on my first playthrough. With being able to just walk around the majority of Fluko's attacks, it just leads to easy hits. Plus, when he does his charge attack, you can just follow him to get even more hits in. I just made sure to bring some Electric Blitz to help speed up the fight and use some well-timed Fable Arts into parries into charge attacks to knock the big boy down. to officially dethrone him as king and become the king of pimps. With Yoko defeated, Vanini, the owner of the workshop, decided to move into the hotel to give me access to the elemental grinder, which means I can now equip a grinder which can buff my weapon depending on which grinder type I have on at the time. Once done chatting with my fellow pimp Vanini, I make my way through the child slave mines of Apple Incorporated and collect the big pipe wrench. For those who have played Lies of P, know this weapon is a strength weapon, but with how weapon customization works in this game, the hilt determines the scaling. So I can take the big pipe wrench head, which can be paired with the slashing type hilt like the booster glaive handle, and now make a super hard hitting weapon that scales with technique. Essentially a strength weapon, but on a dex build. The reason I did this is because the pipe wrench head does a lot of damage and stagger damage, and combine that with the booster glaive's charge attack, you now make a slow weapon super fast and hits like a fucking truck. The only downside to this is it's heavy, so I have to sacrifice defense parts for better mobility. But we all know glass cannon builds are my bread and butter. Before leaving, I buy me a technique crank to bump my B scaling to an A scaling. Simply, more damage. With my new wrench in hand, I can start my new journey as a plumber for when I give up my pimpin' ways for Sophia. Along my pimpin' journey of becoming a plumber, I come across the Atoned who will only let a fellow stalker pass, which I could lie and say I'm one, but as the rules state, all bosses must go and she has a boss bar. So she's got to go. I just hit her over the head with my big wrench and knock her right out. Very realistic. After knocking out the Atone, I get a call from the church and apparently they need their pipes cleaned. A perfect assignment for my first day as a plumber. I see they have an infestation. Lovely. While looking for the pipes, I stumble across Aladaro, who allows you to trade in boss souls for weapons or amulets. The two amulets that I get from him that are important are Conquering Amulet, which allows you to deal more damage after parrying an attack, and Extreme Modification Amulet, which gives you more damage depending on how many Fable charges you have active. I'll be using these two for the majority of the boss fights. Once done chatting, I proceed to further upgrade my P organ, and use one of my Legion plugs to acquire a new left arm, the Falcon Eyes, which is a gun arm that has an A scaling and technique. Definitely struggling to let go of my pimpin' ways, but a gun arm never hurt anybody. I then proceed to upgrade my wrench booster to +5 because I will need all the power I can get to fix those pipes. With that done, I head back into the church to find the infestation itself, the fallen Archbishop Andreas. I can definitely see why the pipes got clogged now. Good thing I upgraded the booster. Andreas gave me a bit of trouble. With it being so long since I fought him, I didn't really know his pattern, and this time I was not able to pick it up in time. I did manage to get him to the second phase on my first try, but it was very short-lived. Sadly, the next two tries weren't any better and ended up dying on the first phase. It wasn't until the fourth phase where I got better at timing his attacks and punishing him properly with some charge attacks that I was able to make it to the second phase with most of my healing left. For the second phase, I knew I just needed to get to the backside to make the fight a lot easier. I will say this is where the amulets came in clutch, because with the extra damage from both of them plus buffing my weapon with fire, I did massive damage with my charge R2s, which ended up leading to a quick victory. First job as a plumber, and I think I did a mighty fine job. After completing my first job, I come across a mutated bear. I killed it with my big wrench. Remember, I'm not just any plumber, I'm a pimpin' plumber. Showboating aside, I make my way back to the hotel and trade in the Archbishop's soul for the Trident of the Covenant. It's a very strong technique weapon that I would like to have for backup just in case I need it. Spoiler, I definitely needed it. Once back on my journey to become a value member of society, I come across another mutated bear, and oh dear god, it doesn't have a face. Luckily, only a few hits from my big wrench stuns it, leading to a very satisfying kill. Not going to lie, I really like the body exploding after the viscerals. It's always more fun when things explodes. After making mutated bear confetti, I make friends with some strangers who definitely won't backstab me later. Do a little bit of Assassin's Creed roleplaying with the mutated locals, use the locals ergo to level myself up to 50, upgrade my gun arm for bigger explosions, and start prepping for the next boss fight. So, what I forgot to mention for the last fight was that I used the carrier's amulet to help out with the weight. With the wrench, the gun arm, and the amulets, it weighs me down a lot. So much, in fact, that I can only have the liner equipped from the defense options even with the carrier's amulet equipped. With only having 7 in capacity and not being able to level it up, I have to sacrifice defense for offense. With that said, we can get on to the next boss fight, Black Rabbit Brotherhood, the gank boss fight of Liza P. I will say the first counter is not a horrible fight. I did end up dying twice, but that was just because I forgot to break the eldest brother's weapon at the beginning. The gimmick of this fight is as the elder brother's health goes down, a new family member joins in the fight, which will punish you if you do too much damage too quickly, since you could end up taking on all 4 members at once. So my strategy is to break his weapon so it does less damage and has a shorter reach. With his weapon broken, I then proceed to lower his health to summon each member to fight them one-on-one. Also, an amazing thing this game has is that when you run out of healing, you can actually earn one back by hitting enemies or doing parries. By far my favorite mechanic in this game. With the first 2 siblings down, I lower the elder brother's health just enough to not trigger the next sibling. I then proceed to parry his attacks until I stagger to get a visceral off. By doing this, I'm able to kill the elder brother without having to deal with the final sibling. And that's how you make this fight a lot less difficult. Once done dealing with the Brotherhood, I get a call that Rosa Isabel Street needs a plumber, and I always answer the call when the people need my help. And on that call, I came across demonic baby puppets. That's one way to get around child abuse in a video game. As a semi-former pimp, I had no issues getting rid of these puppet children. With the evil children puppets dealt with, I ran into a disgruntled opera singer who was having a Karen moment on me. So I smacked her from behind real good with my wrench. That always did the trick back in my pimpin' days. I then decided to go back to the hotel to do a little bit of leveling, upgrade my gun some more, and upgrade my wrench. With that, I'm back on the streets where I belong. Oh lovely, a clown boss. I ended up dying 4 times to this fat, creepy bastard. I just really struggle with parrying his attacks, especially his spin attack. I always mess it up at the end, but like any good plumber that I am, I get the job done. I then proceed to further enhance my P organ so that I can take on the next real boss and the client who called me in for the job, the King of Puppets. Alright, this boss was interesting. On my very first go at him, I got him to his second phase thinking this won't be too bad. Nope, I was wrong. I ended up dying 23 times. My major issue was the first phase. Once he got into his enraged state, he would do this room-wide attack, which for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to deal with it. So I decided I was just going to skip that. I found if I just lower his health a bit and then parry him to the point of stagger, then buff my weapon into a visceral, followed by 2 charge R2s, I could skip his enraged state. Once I figured that out, it didn't take too many tries to win. For phase 2, I just found walking to the side while holding block for safety led to a lot of openings to get hits in, and I only needed 6 hits to be able to stagger him. After the visceral, I just shot him twice and let the explosions do all the work. I do have to say though, this was a super fun fight to problem solve. 10 out of 10 for sure. With the King of Puppets dead and me running out of clientele, I head back to the hotel to level my technique to 60, buy the Carcass Butcher's Amulet, and nab me a Puppet Ripper just in case. Like any blue-collared worker, I decided I needed a break from all the plumbing and went to visit the museum, but come to find out they're having plumbing issues as well. Wherever there's a pipe clogged or jammed, me and my big wrench will be there to clean those pipes. I'm not the hero they need, but the plumber they deserve. Upon exploring the museum, I found the culprit, and I can see why the pipes got clogged. That boy definitely got the protein shits. Trust me, I've been there. Champion Victor was a pretty tough boss. I'll be honest, I don't recall how this fight went on my first time, but he for sure put up a good challenge. With the big wrench and booster being on the slower side, it made getting hits in a bit harder. So after my 10th attempt, I decided I needed to try a new strategy, so I head back to the hotel. I decided to go with the Trident of the Covenant since it's a light weapon that can strike fast. Plus, we all know Poseidon was a pimp and he too used a trident. Since the trident is lighter, I could equip 1 extra piece of defense gear to help with damage mitigation. And finally, I further upgrade my P organ that I have been neglecting. With all that done, I was ready for my rematch with Champion Victor. Unfortunately, I didn't first try him after this prep. It took me a bit of time to adjust to the new weapon. My main focus for phase 1 was to just wait for his 3 swing combo to parry to follow up with a charge R2. Once staggered, I always try and get a single hit off for extra damage and then do the visceral. Doing this twice was usually enough to get him to his second phase. For his second phase, he gets a bit more chaotic with his charge attacks, but I found if I just kept my distance from him, I could just bait out his lunge attack and jump attack for easy parries with follow-up attacks to get the stagger off. Once knocked down, I buffed my weapon to speed up the last bit of the fight. It only took me 15 tries. Not the best, but not bad either, if I say so myself. Once taking out the guy who clogged the pipes, I find Simon Manus, who apparently thinks he's the big pimp around here, and we can't be having that. So I make my way to Barren Swamp to find a boat part that I need to fix up a ship to pimp slap Simon with my big pipe. And of course, it wouldn't be a Souls-like game without a swamp. I guess that's just part of the criteria of being a Souls game, but I haven't found any women showing off their bare feet yet, so not completely a true Souls-like. While in the swamp, I picked me up the Living Puppets Axe. With how the economy is these days, I am not making enough money to raise a future family as a plumber, so I switched my occupation to being a hitman. They definitely make the big bucks. Just like any hitman, I need an arsenal of weapons to take on my mission, so I pick up the City Long Spear so I could combine it with the Tyrant Murderer's Dagger, since I'll be doing a lot of murdering as a professional hitman. With my arsenal filled out, I kill the 3 mini-boss in the area. The 2 future puppets were literally the same as the first one, and the owl dude could throw knives, so really nothing interesting happened there. The only thing that gave me trouble in this area was the damn Pinocchio puppet. This son of a bitch killed me 21 times. That's more than any boss I have fought so far. With all my heart, fuck that dude. With all that taken care of, it was finally time to take on the boss of this area that was holding on to the part that I needed, the Green Monster of the Swamp. The Green Monster of the Swamp can go to hell. I hated this boss on my first playthrough, and I still hate him now. His first phase isn't horrible, it's his damn second phase that drives me nuts. I would think I would have his timing down to just get one-shotted. For this fight, I decided to go with the Tyrant Murdering City Long Spear. With it being a light weapon, I could have more defense, and the dagger has a 30% crit chance with a Fable Art of Grind that increases critical chance temporarily, combined with the City Pole Art Concentrate that increases attack damage temporarily for more damage. Sadly, it didn't stop me from dying 40 times. The real trick to winning this fight was in the second phase, just running away, baiting out his charge attack for an easy parry and punishing his jump attacks. Either way, this boss can go fuck itself in the nicest way possible. Now I have to manually head back to the hotel because apparently shit has hit the fan. As you can see, giant mutated zoo animals are roaming the streets. Along the way, I came across a spot that I remember that there was a guy here who I could talk to. Oh yeah, I need to talk to that chick at the exhibit first, that's right. Alrighty, she should be right here. Oh no. I did not know she would die if I didn't talk to her.
What?
Scully, calm down. I know I messed.
Shut your whore mouth.
Whore mouth?
How dare you let a woman die like this? She could have been part of my harem.
Harem?
You disgust me. Pooh. Good day, sir.
He'll be back, I think. Well, after that fiasco, I fought a weasel who wasn't much of a fight. So around this point, I ended up taking a break from the game since I got caught up with some Bloodborne runs I was working on at the time, and by the time I came back, it had been around a month. So you can imagine how rough it was trying to jump back into it, especially starting with this monstrosity of a mini-boss. With being out of practice for a month, you could say my parry timing was off a bit. Just a little bit. It ended up taking me 40 attempts to finally kill this damn thing. And the funny thing is, I beat it on my first try on my first playthrough. The ticket to this fight was DPSing the clone down as soon as it came out. Once I finally took out the clone, that sealed the deal for the fight. Either way, fuck this dude, respectfully. After realizing my mistake from taking a break, I immediately have to take on Parade Master. But he's infected this time. So for this fight, I went in with the Murdering Spear with the Extreme Modification Amulet with the Arm of God Amulet this time. You get this from trading in Champion Victor's Fragment. Since the spear is a fast-hitting weapon, I found keeping pressure was easy to keep the Arm of God buff going. With that said, even with a good build, if the player isn't skilled enough to use it, they will die. Roughly 15 times from what I heard, but that's just a guess. A very, very well-educated guess. Once I got back to the hotel, I found it in dismay, and my pimpin' wife was very mad, and she personally hired me herself to take care of the problem. So I, of course, made haste. Right before taking off though, I upgrade the old organ, level my technique up to 74, and upgrade my arsenal to full power. After finishing that prep, apparently the Rabbit Hood, or whatever they are called, wanted a rematch. And I will say this version of them is definitely more annoying than the first. With this go around, you have to fight all three at the same time. Now, they will usually let you 1v1 them, but if you get too close to any of the others, they'll jump you. And it can get very, very annoying with all three aggroing you. I have to say, I did not enjoy this fight. The way I was able to beat them was by making sure the Spear brother attacked first, since he's the easiest to get backstabs off, which led to a quick kill. From here, I get the other two siblings down to half health, and then take out whichever one is aggroing me at the time. With only one left, they aren't much of a fight. Once all the minor siblings are defeated, the elder brother pops up. He's really easy to deal with this go around. I just stay back and let him whiff for easy hits. It ended up only taking me 12 tries. Not too bad if I say so myself. After dealing with the Rabbit Hood again, I tinker a bit more with the P organ just to help myself out. And I end up finding Alidoro, who apparently was pretending to be a pimp, and that's a massive crime in the pimp community, so I had to take him out. With Alidoro out of the picture, I take over a submarine and perfectly park it in front of Simon's house. I then kick down the door to find the doorman not being so friendly, so I went hitman, former plumber, former pimp on his ass. I then proceed to make my way through Simon's home to find an old friend who decided to backstab me. I did not see this one coming. He also insults me by using a spear as well. Unfortunately for him, my spear is a murdering spear, while his spear is just a normal spear, so I win by default. After taking out my former friend, I finally make it halfway to the top. My lord, this place is huge. I don't even think Snoop, our lord and savior, has this big of a crib. Then all of a sudden, Simon's simp comes out of the woodworks to defend him. Laxasia could do so much better. Sadly, she heard that comment and proceeded to abuse me for the next 3 hours. This fight was hard. As stated, it took me 3 hours of trying to beat her. I came close multiple times to just end up getting fucked on a winning attempt an hour in to find out the hard way when you stagger her in the second phase, she has a massive AoE. A very dick move by the developers. Very dickish. It ended up taking me learning all of her moves in the first phase to the point of being able to parry her crazy sword combo to finally have a consistent chance of making it to the second phase to just die 2 seconds later. It took a lot of trial and error to figure out the second phase, but I'm happy to say I did figure it out. So, once making it to the second phase, I would walk over to this stack of rocks right here, so when I parry all of her projectile attacks, they would push me just far back enough that when I parry her Godspeed attack, I would be close enough to do a charge R2 to close the gap to then unload a full Fable Art attack from the Trident with acid to do a shit ton of damage. From here, I made sure to keep my distance and find a safe time to get 2 gunshots off, which will then put her into a guaranteed stagger state. From here, I get the stagger off and run for dear life. Once she does her AoE, I get an extra hit off before the visceral to finally kill her. It only took dying 117 times to figure all this out. Yay, hard-headedness. After that frustrating fight, I then had the horror of finding this. Come to find out, all this time I was talking to an illusion all along. Would this be considered the first ever catfish? I don't know, but I would like to think so. Seeing Sophia in this state, I did what any good hitman, plumber, pimp would do. I set her free. And in doing so, my hair turned back to its original color. It's time to take my revenge on Simon, but first, let me slap the shit out of this fox real quick to make myself feel a little bit better. From there, I touch my P organ for the last time and level my technique up to 100, as around this point I was level 88 and figured why not just finish it off. With all that done, it's time for Simon. Yeah, Simon was a pain in the ass. Not his first phase, no. His damn second phase, where he likes to spam his range attacks while charging your ass, and at half health, he summons a giant fucking hand that likes to tickle your butthole. Yeah, I said it. To be honest, I have no clue how I won this fight. I never could figure out his parry timings. The only thing I did figure out was some decent positioning to dodge some attacks, and heavily relied on my gun arm and acid damage to lower his health. I guess with this being my 69th attempt, the pimp gods were just looking over me to allow me to finally win. Now, it's time for me to unleash my true form on the man who caused me all this pain. Fun fact, this was the first time I ever used Two Dragon Sword, and I literally went through all of this for that small bit right there. I never said I was smart, but I will say I'm hard-headed. With the technique run done with, let's move on to the advanced run. Starting off with our class and weapon selection, I chose the path of the cricket, not so much for its weapon, but for its well-rounded stat distribution. Now, what is Advance in Lies of P? Advance is Lies of P's version of Intelligence and Faith from the Dark Souls series. This stat helps increase elemental damage, proc of status effects, increases Legion uses, and helps increase elemental defense and resistances. So for this run, I will be needing to focus on weapons that scale with advance, and sadly the starting weapon, Puppet Saber Blade, does not have any advanced scaling, but no worries, it won't take too long to get an advanced weapon. With that jargon done with, I pick up my pulse cell, commit a Class D felony against a police officer, and put on my elf uniform. Oh, did I forget to mention I am a deranged puppet elf who wants to become evil Santa to reward all the naughty people in the world? And this is my training arc? Don't worry, nothing bad happens.
What have you done?
Moving on, I buy some electric blitz to help with the upcoming boss fight, level my advance to 12, and take on Parade Master. Being the psychopathic elf that I am, I went in swinging like a mad puppet and completely forgot to equip the electric blitz. So I made sure to pull off a little bit of menu maneuvering to get it equipped so I could start doing decent damage to the boss. The reason I am doing this is to inflict electric shock on the boss. What electric shock does, it allows me to deal more damage to the boss and helps with increasing stagger damage for easier breaks. With that small buff, I was able to lower his health down just enough to finish him off with a good old backhand to the face. This might be a different character, but the holy pimp spirit will always be with me no matter the game or persona. With the Parade Master defeated, I manipulated the residents of Hotel Croc to let me in and to talk to what seems to be a nice young lady, but with a trained eye, you can tell she is a naughty one. I then used the Ergo I got from P-Master to get my advance to 14, pick up my Go-Go Gadget arm, and take off into Ellison Boulevard to beat up some of Santa's reinforcements for some Ergo because I'll be needing a good bit for a weapon that I will need. I then get the Life Amulet for more life of course, and buy the Electric Coil. The Electric Coil is a blunt type weapon that focuses on advance but leans into motivity for support damage. The blade of the weapon has the Fable Art ability, Generate, which greatly increases electric blitz damage for a short period of time. Its Hilt's Art Rush Smash has the user roll and jump forward, dealing a devastating slam attack. I really wish earlier on in this run I would have known how strong this art was because I would have used it more than I did, but sadly it wouldn't be until much later until I learned this. With now having an advanced weapon, I collect some upgrade materials and take on Rudolph's twice removed cousin, Mad Donkey. Being the overly confident elf that I am, I went into this fight with only one plus cell, and after a fumble with a miss input causing me to use the wrong Fable art, led to a bit of a tight butt cheeks moment, but with a little bit of pimp slapping and a well-timed R1, I was able to get the first try. Being happily drenched in my favorite color, I met someone who looks like a skinnier version of Santa, but I doubt it could be him because he likes his milk and cookies too much. Once done chatting, I picked up the Puppet Destroyer's Amulet, finally upgrading my Electric Coil, leveling my advance to 21, and took on the Scrapped Watchman. What really sucks about this fight is that your only advanced weapon option is electric, which Watchman has a 50 in resistance to. The only trade-off to this is that Electric Coil does strike damage, which Watchman has a negative 10 to. It would be nice to have a bit more options at the beginning, but luckily the fight isn't too bad to deal with. Sadly, I made another mistake here by not bringing my Pimp Hand. It would have been way more useful than the Go-Go Gadget arm. Overall, the key to this fight was just going pure Sekiro and parrying and blocking attacks until I could get the visuals to deal more damage. The only thing I would have done differently to speed this fight up a bit would have been to use Generate to get the shock status off, and then use Rush Smash to lower his health or stun him more. But either way, I was able to pull this off on my first try. With Watchman defeated, I obtained my first Advanced Legion arm, the Fulminous. The Fulminous is a charge-based weapon that once unleashed deals a powerful shock attack. When fully upgraded, it can leak out discharge which can damage the enemy nearby and can deal a strong shock explosion upon being fully charged. Also, by defeating Watchman, I can now upgrade myself. Part of this challenge run is not making a P-Organ joke. Once done upgrading, I headed on over to Workshop Union to stumble upon a phone call, where a man gives me a riddle to solve. How nice of him. I wonder how he knew I liked riddles. After solving that impossible riddle, I take out Puppet of the Future for a quart. With that excruciating fight over with, I grab my next weapon, the Salamander Dagger. The Salamander Dagger is a slash-type weapon that primarily focuses on advance for scaling, but dips into technique to help out. The blade's Fable art is Ignite, which is the same as Generate, but for fire damage. Its hilt's art is Retreating Stab, an attack which you stab an enemy and quickly retreat. The name of the art kind of hits it on the head of the nail there, which I happily get to test out on the next mini-boss, Survivor. Once again, I went in very confidently only having 2 heals on me, and to say things got a bit spicy would be an understatement. At one point, I thought Survivor had me, but I was able to get a backstab off to get the burn status effect to proc to help lower his HP, but right before it could kill him, it wore off. So it became an epic bout between me and Survivor to see who would be the actual survivor of this match. Sadly for Survivor, my ability to panic spam R1 was just too strong for him to survive, leaving me to be the victor. After coming so close to death, I popped some fragments, leveled my advance to 36, upgraded electric coil to +3, and took on Santa's portable furnace, Fuoco. For this fight, I made sure to bring electric coil and fulminous since Fuoco is a robot, which means he is weak to electric damage. I mainly used electric coil for this fight since I didn't think it would be worth doing a charge attack with fulminous. Coming into this fight with low Fable charges, I made sure to build it up to the max before using Generate so I could dish out bigger damage when Fuoco was closer to dying, but I started to get into a bit of a pickle near the end. Seeing that Fuoco was almost dead, I started spamming fulminous shots as fast as possible to quickly finish him off, putting me one step closer to my goal of becoming the new evil Santa. With Fuoco defeated, I can now obtain the Flamberge, which is a flamethrower that when fully upgraded can be detonated to explode. Being the toy-making elf that I am, I decided to have a bit of fun and take the Salamander Dagger Blade and put it on the electric coil handle to see how it plays out. And while I was at it, I started upgrading the Salamander Blade. Before heading out, I also upgraded myself since I had 2 quartz on me. I then start making my way to the cathedral to be stopped by a rogue toy who I was ill prepared for. I completely forgot this section was still filled with puppets and it was the area right before the cathedral with the infected. Either way, I persevered to defeat the rogue to get the carrier's amulet. On my way to the cathedral, I cross paths with the Atone, who seems to be a goody two-shoes, and we cannot be having those types of people around, and lucky for me, she's a human, so she burns pretty easily. Plus, I don't know too many humans that can take a flaming dagger to the face. With the Atone taken care of, I found the cathedral, massacred a bunch of infected zombie humans, ransacked the place of all its upgraded materials, fought an oversized Zit monster for a quartz, picked up some supplies, and found my new best friend Alidoro, who could do no wrong. Now, having access to Alidoro, I purchased the Extreme Modification Amulet and the Conquering Amulet. I then head back to Hotel Krot to level my advance to 45, upgrade the Salamander Blade to +5, and further upgrade myself some more. With all the prep work done with, it's time for fallen Archbishop Andreas, who come to find out is Santa's brother-in-law, who ended up killing me 10 times. Which caught me off guard since I didn't have that much trouble against him in my last run. I don't know if it was because in the last run I could easily stagger him more or was just be able to dish out more damage, but I had to start taking Andreas seriously. When fighting him on my 11th attempt, I made sure to preserve as many pulse cells as I could for the second phase. Once in the second phase, that's where the real fight began. The biggest hurdle was getting to his backside. I ended up having to use all 3 pulse cells that I had on me just to make it there. Once on his backside, it's just like fighting his first phase, so I was able to survive long enough to get a heal back to stay in the fight, and eventually I got the poise break, and smelling blood in the water, I striked, giving me a chance for a visceral that ended up inflicting burn, which allowed me to finish him off in a few hits. With Andreas burnt to a crisp, I immediately ran over to Path of the Pilgrim to get Acidic Crystal Spear. The Acidic Crystal Spear is a piercing type weapon that focuses on acid damage with a high scaling in advance. Its blade's Fable art, Radiate, greatly increases acid damage, and its hilt's art, Single Stab, does a charge stab attack. While on Weapon Talk, I also at this time had a Legion plug, so I got Pandemonium, which can throw out pools of acid that deal damage when enemies stand in them, and upon upgrading, you can change the direction of the attack, and once fully upgraded, the pools of acid can explode. But I'll be honest, they take forever to proc. Being back at the hub, I upgraded the spear to +4 and used an advanced crank on the spear's hilt to take it from an A scaling to an S scaling. I also took the Salamander Blade and put it on the spear's handle since I was still in the Carcass territory. Which good thing I did because this big fucker showed up. So I'm assuming this is a human that got mutated, but where did the axe with teeth come from? Did a tree get infected, or did it somehow birth it itself? I don't know. Just some food for thought, you know? After taking out whatever that was, I infiltrated my old toy making workshop and made sure to make myself at home by taking whatever I wanted. While scavenging, I ran into my former toy making pupils who were not too happy to see me. Apparently they were not too happy about the reindeer Tootsie Roll prank. Well, too bad for them because I don't plan on being punished. The Black Rabbit Brotherhood fight was really straightforward. I just made sure to parry the elder brother's attacks until his weapon broke and applied acid when I could. Acid in Liza P helps with weapon and shield deterioration, but it also does tick damage to the enemies. This is really helpful in this fight since human types are weak to acid, which made getting rid of the 3 other siblings a breeze. With no more siblings to help the elder brother, he easily went down in a few pokes. After I finished teaching my former students a lesson, I further upgraded my organ for some more healing and a better dodge. I then tried to pet a cat, but he wasn't having it. So I leveled my advance to 52 and made my way to Rosa Isabel Street, where I came across a Karen who was not happy about one of the toys I made, so I did with her like I do with all Karens I come across. Cover them in acid and call it a day. But apparently I was not done yet. The Mad Clown puppet was not happy I stole his big red nose and really wanted it back, which he did a pretty good job of it, but since I'm a time-traveling evil puppet, I was eventually able to kill the big clown. I then heard one of my toys was running amok, so I upgraded my organ to get some more healing, killed the dolls in this area to get the Crescent Moon Stone, and upgrade my electric coil to +6, to take on my greatest creation, the Puppet King. To say I had a rough time would be putting things lightly. I didn't really run into any issues with his first phase, besides every now and then he decided to be a butt. No, once again his damn second phase gave me a lot of trouble. With him being so fast, me not being able to have good defense due to weight limits, and for the fact my weapon wasn't doing that great of damage, it led to a lot of deaths. I thought maybe switching to the spear would help out, but it did not. It was very clear I was going to need to use the electric coil for damage since it made the first phase go by a lot quicker, but no matter how many times I tried, I kept dying in his second phase, and then it dawned on me, I'm a fucking evil elf, so I started blasting. Now, normally I'm against using combat items in my runs, but after doing some research and realizing I was cosplaying an evil elf, it was not only fitting, but practically the way this build is meant to be played. Now, I did restrict myself to only using it if I felt like I really needed it, because I do believe all bosses can be done without them, but with that said, let's get into how I won this fight. His first phase is really simple, just lower his health enough for him not to go into his rage phase, and then break him to then use generate to help with visceral damage. With that done, just takes a few R2 attacks to get him to his second phase. For phase 2, pretty much try and get a visceral off on him near half health to then spam him with consumables. Easy, right? Well, if you accidentally get him past half health before this, you will then do his never-ending combo attack, which I never survived once. So I have to play it perfectly for this to work.
Oh no.
Or get absolutely lucky that you can break him at this moment to then spam kill him. I know I could have killed him here without the combat items, but I wasn't going to take any chances at this point. After blowing up my toy that went rogue, I talked to my butler friend who wants to know if a puppet can fall in love. Now, since I am an evil elf, I should tell him the truth, but I have a soft spot for the poor guy, so I lie to make him happy. But not for this old hag, she's getting the full evil elf experience. Once done counterbalancing my good deed with a bad deed, I level my advance to 59 and then take a stroll through the arcade playing an old pastime game of mine, Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies. Man, the mid-2000s was a good time. After reminiscing on old times, I pick up the circular electric chainsaw blade. Now, fans of this weapon, don't get too mad at me, but I didn't really use either part of this weapon. I tried the handle with a few weapon blades, which was nice for the reach, but I still felt like the other handles were better, and the blade with its cool perk of doing more electric damage after every hit just wasn't enough for me to stick with it, when I could just use generate with electric coil to dish out more damage. Now, I'm not saying these parts are bad, it's just within this run, the other weapons were just the better option at this point. With that said, I successfully rescued Belle this time. I also got another phone call from my favorite riddle man. Such a fun fellow to talk to. I look forward to meeting him one day. I then stared at a statue for way too long and had to go back to the hotel to tinker with my Pinocchio organ. Wink, wink. Once done tinkering, I stumble upon another faction of the North Pole who also wants to take over Santa's shop, the Tinker Knights. And as you can tell, Victor tinkers like Quagmire from Family Guy after finding out about corn on the internet. During the first round with Victor, I thought it was going to be like last time I fought him, where it was going to take some kind of crazy strategy to win, but after the second attempt where I almost beat him, I realized he wasn't as hard as I remembered him. For this fight, I made sure to go with Acidic Crystal Spear and Pandemonium for acid damage since that's what he's the weakest to. Really, all I had to do for this fight was parry his attacks, and once done parrying, poke him a bit until I got the decay status to proc. Something really cool I learned in the first phase was when he does his 5-punch combo after the 4th hit, you can actually strafe to the right to avoid the 5th swing to be able to get a couple of free attacks in. Another thing I made sure to do was use Pandemonium after breaking Victor, since he will take tick damage as long as he's in it even before, during, and after the Visceral is done. Now for phase 2, you might think it would be much harder, but weirdly I found the second phase easier than his first. He has a lot of single attacks that are easy to parry, and it feels like more of his moves are telegraphed in this phase than the first, but that could be my imagination for all I know. With that said, I did this fight Sekiro style, and it led to a 3rd try victory. Until Laxasia stole my kill, that bitch. Then the leader of the Tinker Knights showed himself, and he called himself...
My name is Simon Manus.
Did this motherfucker just say Manus? What is he, a fucking Pokemon?
Who's that Pokemon?
Well, after that interesting interaction, we decided to put our differences aside to take down Santa. I then came across 2 individuals who I accidentally gave a gold coin to because I was spamming the A button. Curse my spamming causing me to do a good deed. With now having access to Baron Swap, I can get the fancy Vanini collection to get Perfection Grindstone. Oh, that's right. It's the 3rd collection that gives it to you. Ah, fuck. Green Monster is going to be a pain in the ass, but I'm jumping ahead. So, back on track, I found Owl Doctor and revoked his license because he clearly killed a few people on the operation table. And of course, I took out the 2 Puppets of the Future because, you know, all bosses and stuff. I then found Alidoro to buy Arm of God Amulet, then upgraded Salamander Blade since the next boss is weak to fire. Used an advanced crank on the electric coil handle for later, fully upgraded Pandemonium, and took on my least favorite boss in the game, but if you watched my last Liza P video, you knew that already. Alright, let's get this out of the way. I died 58 times. All of those deaths could have been due to skill issue, or it could be the boss is a bit bullshitty, and I say this as someone who got to the point of no-hitting Nameless Puppets and Laxasia's first phase in my last run. But for the life of me, I cannot learn this boss' second phase attack patterns. Either way, let's just skip all the fussing and get to how I eventually won this hellish fight. So, after the 50th death, I finally caved and said, fuck it, I'm going to use combat items. Here's a small reenactment of how it went. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Hold on, I got more. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And your mother too. Jokiness aside, I still died 8 times attempting it this way. Even with having 10 throwables, it wasn't enough to kill the green monster, so I had to hope and get lucky near the end to get a break. So I decided to go full Oonga Boonga and charge on in, hoping it would work. Oh, see? So easy a caveman could do it. In all honesty, I really wish I had the Black Steel Cutter for this fight. For it being a fire weapon, having high guard defense, I think it would have been a really good option to have here. But sadly, it's not available until after this fight. With my own personal hell over with, I start making my way through corrupt Krot Central Station, where I got bullied by a headless puppet baby. It's fine, I'll just go visit. What the fuck is this? What did I do wrong this time? I saved Belle! Why are you dead? After fucking up again, I killed the big kitty cat in the streets for the murderer's puppet amulet, and found the hardest mini-boss in this run for me, Robber Weasel. To be honest with all of y'all, I have no clue why I struggled so hard with her this time. Last challenge run, she was a pushover, but here she was just making me her personal bitch. I got her close to death 3 times for me to just drop the ball and die. Look, I'll give it to y'all on this one, definitely a skill issue here. But with a little bit of perseverance, I was able to kill her on my 22nd attempt. With that done, I pick up the special Krot supply to be able to buy quartz and more importantly the rustic cryptic vessel so that Vanini can decipher it and I can now access the new side area of the barren swamp where I can get black steel cutter, but what I really wanted was this cool looking carcass axe. Sadly, the game would not give it to me. The black steel cutter focuses on dealing slashing and fire damage with high scaling in advance. Its blade's art is Storm Slash that is a flurry of swings onto an enemy, and its handle art is Guard Parry, which when timed correctly will parry the enemy's attack, but follow up with a powerful counter attack. Personally, I just wanted it for its blade. So I upgraded it to +9 and threw it on Electric Coil for faster swings and for Rush Smash. Once done upgrading my weapon, I further upgraded myself, getting me more pulse cells. With all that out of the way, it's time to test this bad boy out. I forgot how much I despise this fight. So, fuck you and your bitch ass clone. Really, the trick for this fight is just strafing to the right while parrying, because while strafing you can dodge a good chunk of Walker's attacks. And when his clone comes out, just hit it with a rush smash for a one shot. With those two things, it only took me 12 tries to win. After that lovely fight, I get a call from my BFF and we exchange riddles with one another. My riddle to him was, what has many keys but can't open a single lock? Let me know in the comments what you think the answer is. Full of excitement from riddle solving, I charge into the next boss fight, the Corrupted Parade Master. To say I had a plan for this fight would be giving me too much credit, but luckily he is one of the easier bosses in the game, but that doesn't mean I didn't die to him. He ended up getting me 5 times, but I came really close on my 3rd attempt with a well-timed rush smash that almost killed him, but I made the fatal mistake of not attacking afterwards, which allowed the son of a bitch to grab me and kill me. That one really hurt at the time. So I finally came up with a plan, save up my Fable charges until he was below half health, and then use Rush Smash, then Fable Catalyst to get charges back, and use Rush Smash again to finish off the giant slug. If only I would have come up with that plan sooner, I would have saved myself 15 minutes. After that small fiasco, I rushed back to the hotel to find the Tinker Knights ransacked the place and called me a hypocrite. I don't know what a hypocrite is, but I don't like it. So I leveled my advance up to 68, upgraded my aesthetic crystal spear to +9, and found out my former pupils have sided with the Tinker Knights. You make people eat reindeer shit one time and they go to the enemy faction. Petty little shits. So I went at this fight like how I did in the previous run by going after the spear sibling and then the dual wielding sibling, leaving me to just 1v1 the Go-Go Gadget Arm sibling to find out the elder brother comes out when there's one sibling left. In my previous run, I killed all 3 siblings so fast, I thought the elder brother only came out after all 3 died, but apparently that was not the case. So I changed my strategy to getting the remaining 2 down as low as possible to kill them back to back, and as you can see, it wasn't that hard to get backstabs off, which gave me enough time to get some acid out right as the elder brother popped out, and after that I just made sure to get decay off on him while I kept a safe distance, attacking when it felt safe. Unfortunately, near the end, I forgot after staggering him he could attack afterwards, which gave me a damn heart attack, but luckily it didn't kill me, and I was finally able to win this fight on my 7th attempt by shoving my spear up the elder brother's ass. That's what you get for giving me a heart attack. After that lovely reunion and permanently putting my former students in their place, I came across Alidoro, who seemed scared for some reason, so I comforted my murdering, identity-stealing friend and then proceeded to pick up the last Vanini collection, which means I can finally buy the Perfection Grindstone. Once done shopping, I find a lever, so I pull it, and a submarine popped out. So I did the obvious thing and stole it and crashed it on a beach like any sane individual would do. I then stormed the beaches of the Tinker Knights to find Quagmire. Oh look, he even evened out both of his arms. The door guardian was a bit of a pain. I thought it would be easy to just run up and break his leg, but tragically that wasn't the case. I ended up dying 17 times to this internet corn addicted bastard. But I eventually figured out his weakness, walking to the left. Surprisingly, by just walking to the left, you can dodge a good portion of his attacks and get free hits in. To be honest, I might have learned this on my last challenge run, but I don't really remember, but with that one trick, I was able to take down the door guardian. With that oversized butler taken care of, I made my way up the tower to slay a mini version of the oversized mutated cat and obtain the acidic Great Curved Sword. The acidic Great Curved Sword focuses on dealing slashing damage with a focus in scaling in advance, but leans into technique for extra damage. Its blade's Fable Art Acid Slash, which does an upward slash followed by a downward smash, which causes the weapon to be covered in acid. The handle's art is Absolute Defense, which perfectly blocks the enemy's attack temporarily, but the real amazing thing about this weapon is that you can use elemental grindstones on it, whereas the other advanced weapons you cannot. Now, do be aware if you use Acid Slash, it will cancel out the other element that is on it at the time. Continuing my journey, I came across my BFF, and he seems to be in a bit of a pickle, but we had a nice chat about being humans and murdering. Once done chatting, I rescue test subject 826 because I'll be needing him for later. I then crossed paths with Black Cat, who wanted another handout, so I taught him why he shouldn't be so greedy. I then upgraded my acidic sword to plus 10 and upgraded myself for bigger stagger windows and to be able to hold on to more items. With all that done, it's time to take on the Tinker Knight's General Laxasia. Laxasia was of course rough, especially with it being a minute since I fought her. It took me a second to remember how to parry her attacks for the first phase. But once I got it down, I no longer had issues getting her to her second phase, where the real trouble begins. Now, off the bat with how hard this fight is, I said fuck it and decided I would be using combat items from the start. And as you can see, having them did not guarantee me an easy win. No. The strategy came down to using Perfection Grindstone at the start to help parry her insanely fast dash attack, and then use a Fable Art to put her closer to a breaking point. After that, it was just trying to survive. If I got lucky, she would do one of her slam attacks for me to throw items, or she would jump in the air for me to deflect her projectiles back at her. Once I finally got the break, I would pray that I would survive her retaliation attack to get the visceral off. Before doing the visceral though, I of course would place acid to help with tick damage, and after the visceral, it became a waiting game for the right time to spam items, and fortunate enough for me, on my 43rd attempt, I finally got that opportunity. With Laxasia defeated, I find Sophia in the not so best of shape, and she axes me to put her out of her misery, which is hard because me, the player, wants to help her, but the evil elf doesn't. So I left it up to fate. What could go wrong? Oh no.
What have you done?
Ah, fuck. After getting fussed at by Scully, and most likely the commenters in the comment section, I hit up 826 to buy the Carcass Crystal Axe, which will be very important in a bit. I then spam killed the red fox with items, upgraded myself for better Fable Catalyst effect, and leveled my advance up to 99 because why not? Oh, something interesting I learned at this moment. Leveling advanced does not increase your physical defense at all, which explains why I felt like wet paper this entire run. With that said, guess who I found at the top of the Tinker Knight Tower?
It's
Simon Manus.
There's not much to talk about Manus' first phase. All the torture happened during the second phase. I could rant for about an hour about this fight, but I'll make it quick. During his second phase, his fight becomes pure chaos. He can send projectiles at you and be on your ass in a millisecond after shooting them, or he can send AoE attacks after you which you need to dodge while dodging his swing attacks. Now, in general, this is feasible, but when you get him to half health and he does the Hand of God attack that takes up almost half the arena, and if he so chooses to do one of the attack patterns I mentioned before, you now need to be aware of 3 things to dodge, and I hope you don't accidentally dodge into one of these said attacks. Also, I find it weird you can't parry back his projectile attacks. Like, the game just taught us we could do it with Laxasia, but we can't do it here. Very weird, but with that said, I did eventually win. It just took me dying 117 times to do so. For this fight, I ended up using Acidic Sword with Electric Coil hilt for Rush Smash. At the start of the fight, I would throw 2 acidic items to proc the decay. After that, I would just stay back, letting it do tick damage. Once it ran out, I would need to hit him with 3 more for it to proc again. After decay wore off for a second time, I would move on to spam throwing fire items at him to get his health as low as possible. Once out of items, I would then move on to Fable Arts attacks. I would start with Acidic Rush to get acid damage, and then use a Fable Catalyst so that I could then be ready to use Rush Smash. Sadly, most of the time the acid buff would wear off before I could benefit from it, but that's where my backup plan came into place of having an acid grindstone stored in the third pouch. With now having the buff, I just needed the right opportunity to strike. Once doing the visceral, I spammed my remaining catalyst to use Rush Smash for the win. As you can tell by this strategy, there's a reason it took me 118 attempts to pull this off. With Manus taken care of, that just leaves Skinny Santa, who turns out to be the real Santa. Damn it, Ozempic strikes again! Discovering his true identity, Santa brings out his ultimate weapon, Nameless Puppet. Funny enough, Nameless Puppet wasn't horrible this time around. I started off trying to use Acidic Sword with the Electric Coil hilt, but I kept struggling in the second phase, so this is where the Carcass Crystal Axe comes in. Come to find out, Nameless has a pretty high resistance to slash damage, but has a low resistance to strike damage and acid. Another perk of using the Carcass Crystal's Axe Blade is that it has high damage reduction rate while guarding, which helped tremendously making the first phase easier. With being able to block attacks and having more guard regain, I could recover the majority of my health without having to use pulse cells. So all I had to worry about was getting decay off and attacking after blocking, which led to an easy first phase. Phase 2, on the other hand, was a bit more tricky, but still not that bad. Phase 2, I would start off with a Perfection Guard for survivability, and once things were clear, I would go into throwing shock items to get the shock status off. I did this to help with stagger buildup. From here, I just had to wait for a safe time to use acid items to get decay off for the tick damage, but I made sure to keep at least 2 on me. After getting decay off, it was time to try and get the break, and when I saw my chance, I used Rush Smash to then get the Visceral. The Visceral almost killed Nameless, but that's where the 2 acid items come in for the win. This epic fight ended up taking me 30 attempts to finally pull it off and become the evil Santa. Man, talk about a crazy run. I was not expecting it to be this hard, but it was definitely rewarding with some of the problem solving I had to do, especially with the last 3 bosses. With the advanced run done with, let's move on to the motivity run. I started my run off by picking my class, and I of course had to go with the Path of the Sweeper for its 11 in capacity, since a lot of strength weapons are usually heavy. Speaking of strength weapons, upon selecting the Sweeper class, I received the Great Sword of Fate, a perfect weapon for a serial cosplayer like myself, which was fun to use on a police officer who was trying to stop me from becoming the ultimate Liza P cosplayer. With the police taken care of, I massacred the entire robot population in Krot Central Station Plaza, so that I could use their ergo to buy Electric Blitz for the upcoming boss fights, and then use the rest to get my motivity up to 16. With that done, it's time to party with Parade Master. At the start of the fight, I made sure to use the Electric Blitz to help speed up the fight since all robots are weak to electric damage. Before coming into this fight, I made sure to have all 3 Fable charges so that I could use the Blade's Fable Art, Link Slash, to deal 3 consecutive attacks to get the boss to his second phase quicker. With that done, I then used the Pimp Arm for stagger damage to be able to break the boss and get a Visceral off, leaving just enough health to Pimp Slap this robot bitch to death. In the Pimp Arm, we trust. With Parade Master blown up, I meet Sophia, who I would just love to cosplay as, but sadly the game will not let me. So instead, I leave the hotel to find someone that I can cosplay as. While exploring Ellison Boulevard, I find some armor for higher defense, a life amulet that increases my HP, a merchant that sells electric coil, which I buy for its handle, and another Popo who wants to stop my murder spree. Sadly, I'm the anti-hero of this story, so the Popo had to go. And I was rewarded for this good behavior by receiving the Krot Police Baton. The Krot Police Baton is a blunt-type weapon that focuses on motivity for damage. The blade of the weapon has the Fable Art Single Slash, which does a strong sweeping slash. Its hilt's Art Strike Chance temporarily increases your attack for the next hit. This art right here is the main reason I wanted this weapon. After getting the police baton, I cosplay as a police officer and talk to the local crazy lady who I agree to help out. If you're going to cosplay, you have to commit to the part. With that done, I pick up some upgrade materials and some more armor to take on a man pretending to be a donkey, which I cannot allow. I am the only ass around here and I will not let anyone take that away from me. So I abused my powers as a police officer and made up a reason to arrest this man. But as you can tell, he's resisting arrest, just as I planned, so now I can use legal force to take him down. And by legal force, I mean beat this man from behind with my baton to the point of killing him. It's okay, I'll just say it was self-defense. And that, ladies and gents, is how you get away with murder. With Mad Donkey easily defeated by backstabs, I take his costume, and put it on myself, becoming the ass I was always meant to be. Even though I am an ass now, I still need to stay true to my word and help the crazy lady out. So I found her lost child and returned it to her for the money. Before heading back to the hotel, I make sure to pick up the Puppet Destroyer's amulet for the next boss fight. Once back at the hotel, I pop some ergo and get my motivity to 23. Feeling a bit confident in myself like an ass would, I rush to take on Scrapped Watchman without upgrading my weapon. I figured with having the Fable Art Strike chance, I didn't really need to upgrade my weapon, which I made the right call because off the bat using both my Fable Arts, I was quickly able to get Watchman down for a visceral, showing him who his daddy really was. Until he decided to manhandle me and show me he was actually my daddy. I haven't seen this grab attack in a while, and I forgot how brutal it was. But lucky for me, I was cosplaying as a donkey because I was too stubborn to die from that attack. I quickly recover from that smackdown to get another Fable combo off for the stagger to then lead into a visceral to then finish off the giant police robots with a buffed up heavy attack, giving Scrapped Watchman a taste of his own medicine. With Watchman beaten to death, I obtained the Fulminous, which is technically a motivity weapon with its B scaling in motivity. And if you like to see how strong this bad boy is, you should check out my Legion Arm Only run. While at the hotel, I stumble across a cute cat, who does not seem to be a bit fond of me, but mark my words, I will make this cat like me. After being distracted by the cat, I unlock the P organ and begin unlocking my true potential. With all that done, I find a Puppet of the Future cosplaying as a boss, and make sure to take it out. I then kill a shield robot for a Legion caliber and find a new victim to cosplay as. I ended up picking up the Fire Axe to just use on Survivor even though it's a balanced weapon because it just seemed fitting cosplaying wise as a Mad Donkey to have a sharp weapon when attacking someone as he did to me and my father. Easily beating this mini-boss and coming out the lone survivor of this fight, I then became Survivor. With my new identity in hand, I level my motivity to 38, use a motivity handle on the baton handle, and take on King Flame Fuuko, who royally kicked my ass in the beginning. But cosplaying as Survivor, there was just no way I wasn't going to survive this fight. With my life on the line, my ultra instincts kicked in, dodging and blocking attacks that if they would just hit me, I would die. To then get a pulse cell back to stay in the fight, which gave me the opportunity to get a visceral where I made sure to apply the electric blitz beforehand for extra damage. But the real big damage came from the supercharged heavy attack, and of course I had to finish off the fight with it as well because this is a strength run after all. With Fyoko taken care of, I immediately rush over to pick up the big pipe wrench and the carrier's amulet. I of course got the big wrench because it's a motivity weapon, but the main reason is to use the big wrench blade and combined it with the police baton handle. You see, when combining the Fable Art Strike Chance with the Fable Art Patient Smash, you can do some insane damage, as you can see from all the videos on YouTube showing that off. With finally having the wrench, I can use all those upgrade items I've been saving up to get it to +3. While on my way to the cathedral, I came across the Atone. I like your face. I think I'll wear it. Now, you would think I would just use the broken Fable Art combo, but Atone isn't worth using it on her. So I just beat her the old-fashioned way of hitting the back of her head with a giant wrench. Very effective for killing people, from what I have seen on TV. With now having a new face, I pick up a Legion plug, some upgrade materials, a quartz off a dead zombie body, and meet a nun who I ask how I can atone for my sins of murder. Apparently just giving her the Archbishop's holy mark and all of my sins are forgiven. The Konami code to getting into heaven. Bribery. After atoning for my sins, I meet up with the fellow cosplayer, who I buy 2 boss weapons from, and the extreme modification amulet. I then returned to the hotel to get my motivity to 42, use up all the quartz I had forgotten about, and use the Legion plug to get the Deus Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina is a portable landmine placer, aka make things go boom. At level 0, you just have 2 charges that you can use. At level 1, it increases the enemy detection time after installation. At level 2, you get another cell charge, and at level 3, the detection range, explosion range, and explosion damage are all increased. At this time, mine is at level 1. With all that fun stuff done with, time to undo all my good deeds and kill an Archbishop. For phase 1, I just use Fire Abrasive to help do extra damage since the boss is weak to fire, and use heavy attacks to move on to the second phase. The reason I did this was to save all my Fable charges for the second phase so that I could use the infamous Fable combo, Patient Strike Chance Smash, but needed a safe time to use it since it has a long wind-up time. So after getting the stagger break, instead of going for the Visceral, I went for the Fable attack, and damn, that is a lot of damage. Now that's what I like to see in my strength only runs, big damage numbers. But I must give other weapons some love, so it'll be on the bench for the most part of this run. With becoming a sinner once more, I decided I wanted to test out one of the boss weapons, and I chose to go with the Holy Sword of the Ark. Very fitting after killing an Archbishop. The Holy Sword of the Ark is a great sword-glaive that primarily focuses on motivity for damage. It has the Fable Art Altar that allows the greatsword to turn into a glaive, changing its movesets while giving the player a buff that reduces stamina costs. When using Altar in glaive form, it turns the weapon back into a great sword, temporarily giving the user a damage boost. The other unique thing about Altar is that it changes how Patient Slash works on this weapon. When in greatsword mode, it works as it normally would, charging the attack until it fully releases for a devastating attack. But when in glaive form, Patient Slash becomes a 5-hit attack stream. Another perk to all this is you can use Altar mid Patient Slash to do a unique trick attack just like in Bloodborne. I'll be honest, this was probably my favorite boss weapon in this run due to the potential combos you can pull off with it. With all that said, I tested this bad boy out on an elite enemy to get the Patient Amulet. I then upgraded the weapon in Legion Arm to +2 and took on Black Rabbit Brotherhood. Starting off this fight, I made sure to parry the older brother to the point of breaking his weapon. Once I got the stagger off, I made sure to place a landmine so while I'm performing a visceral, it would explode, dealing more damage to the elder brother, and I got lucky it also hit the younger sibling as well. Unfortunately, by doing this, I got the elder brother so low that the Buckethead sibling came out. So I made sure to use the landmines to help reduce their HPs to get rid of them. This made the first 2 siblings a breeze to deal with, but I cannot say the same for the third. Due to his annoying go-go gadget arm, it made the landmines a bit useless, and he ended up lowering my health down to about a quarter left before I was finally able to get rid of him, which left me in a really sticky situation, but luckily since this is a strength weapon, it has really good block protection. So, even though I messed up some parries, I was able to survive long enough to get a stagger break on him, which gave me a pulse cell back to guarantee my victory in this fight. Sadly, the game does not give you any of their head pieces or chest pieces, so no cosplaying the siblings tragically. Being depressed that I can't wear the siblings' faces, I find someone who I can wear their face of. For Wyatt Lady, I decided to try mixing bone cutting saw blade in an electric coil handle, thinking combining the rush smash with the long reach of the bone saw would ensure me to get the hit off. As you can see, that wasn't the case, so I just killed her the boring way. Also, if you're wondering why I'm just wearing the mask and not her whole outfit, you can't get her chest piece until near the end of the game. So from this point on, I'll just be cosplaying the people's faces because it's a hassle to get all the chest pieces. I tried once more to use the bone saw with the electric coil handle in hopes it could redeem itself, but sadly that was not the case. Earning my first death against a boss, if you want to call this boss. More like an elite enemy with a boss bar, but after dying 3 times, I took out the terrifying looking puppet. With that ugly fuck dealt with, I find my sister who is in disarray. So, being the good younger sibling that I am, I take care of her, even though she is a backstabbing bitch. After tending to my lovely sister, I pick up the exploding pickaxes for its blade. The reason I want the blade is that it deals blunt damage, which the next boss is weak to. So I decided to attach it to the electric coil in hopes for an easy win. Before leaving to take on the boss, I upgrade my P organ for some more healing and an extra dodge because I will need it for Romeo. Speaking of Romeo, you wouldn't hit a lady, would you? Well damn, I guess he believes in equality. Shit. For the first phase, I just played a bit reserved, making sure to stay stocked on Fable charges, Legion, and Grindstone uses. I could have used Rush Smash to get to the second phase sooner, but I wanted to make sure I had as many options as possible during the second phase to be able to end the fight. Once making it to the second phase, I start placing mines to get some chip damage off, but also to deal some stagger damage as well, which paid off getting the stagger, allowing me to apply the electric blitz, but I made the mistake of going for a heavy attack before the visceral, losing that visceral opportunity, which set Romeo off to do his long combo, which normally would terrify me, but since learning that all I need to do is dodge to the left to survive it, I wasn't too worried about it. Okay, maybe I was a little bit worried. After just barely surviving that, I made sure to find an opening to use Rush Smash on the bastard. I then backed off to place some landmines in hopes they would stagger or kill, and sure enough, they ended up staggering him, allowing me to get the first try kill. Of course, with getting Romeo's outfit afterwards, I had to cosplay as my dead friend. Back at the hotel, I traded in the Burnt White King's Ergo for the Triumvirate Amulet to help with dealing more damage with Deus Ex Machina. Since I'm cosplaying as Romeo, who is a lovely gentleman, I talked to the residents at the hotel, reassuring them in their beliefs and good looks. After lying to the people to make them happy, I level my motivity to 52 and grow out my hair so that I could look more like Romeo. I then pick up 3 more Legion calibers so that I could max out Deus Ex Machina. I also revisited with my cat friend who is slowly starting to like me more and more. I think he can sense we're the same type of individual. Once done petting the pussycat, I upgrade my organ for more grindstone uses and decided to check out the 7-coil spring sword. The 7-coil spring sword is a great sword that has a B in motivity and a C in technique. It has 2 Fable arts. The first is Guard Parry, which when timed properly will deflect the enemy's attack and trigger a powerful attack back upon them. Then its unique Fable art, 7 Explosions, which deals a strong downward blow that unleashes multiple explosions dealing damage to the enemies in front of you. Basically Saber's Excalibur attack from Fate Stay Night, which I figured would be a fun matchup against Champion Victor. Well, would have been if I would have played better. I had a good chance of getting the first try, but ended up doing a few misplays and deciding to dodge instead of blocking the Fury attack, causing me to lose the first try. So that one was on me for losing. Now I will say it is fitting that my first death to a real boss was to a fellow strength player. For round 2, I made sure to apply Acidic Abrasive early this time and made sure to get the decay effect to proc for the tick damage. With that done, I stayed back and parried attacks until I could get a Viscera off, to then stack a bunch of landmines to send Victor to his second phase. For phase 2, I went with using landmines at the start to increase the stagger damage on him. After getting a few hits with the landmines, I went on the offensive to get decay off on him. With Victor now having decay, I waited for a setup to use 7 explosions to get the stagger. I then played it safe and popped my Fable Catalyst to get another 7 explosions off to guarantee the break to ensure I would get the Visceral for the win. With Victor dethroned and me becoming the new champion, I find Alodaro II and trade in Victor's Ergo for Frozen Feast. Frozen Feast is a great sword, which seems to be a theme with Motivity boss weapons. The sword is made out of Ergo crystals, so after each successful hit, the weapon breaks a bit, and after 4 hits, it reveals its true form. When doing this, the weapon gets a damage buff for each level and its attack speed increases. You can even use its Fable art Liberate to skip to level 4. Its other Fable art, Single Slash, charges the weapon for a single strong attack. A very interesting and unique weapon, but it'll be a bit before I use it. With that said, I pick up Fancy Vanini Collection to be able to buy the Blue Guardianship Amulet. And with that done, I mosey on over to the Green Monster of the Swamp with my trusty old giant pipe wrench police baton. Surprisingly, this fight wasn't as bad as it usually is for me. That's not to say I didn't die, because oh boy, I sure did. But this time it was only 2 times, which is a new personal best for me. For my first death, I ended up getting caught in a combo attack in his first phase, which is just a bit embarrassing in all honesty. For my second death, I ended up mistiming some parries, leading me to run out of pulse cells, and I just wasn't able to stay in the fight long enough to recover another one. Alright, with all the deaths out of the way, let's just get into how I won this fight. So, for phase 1, I made sure to coat my weapon in fire to help with the damage. Then I would either wait for the boss to do his combo move where I would dodge to the left and run around the boss to get multiple charge heavy hits in, or I would parry its basic slam attacks to get in free hits in between. With just those 2 simple things, the first phase went down pretty quickly. For phase 2, my big thing was trying to bait out his charge attack, since after he finishes that attack, it's the safest time to get a Fable combo off. It just took a good bit of time before he finally decided to do it. Now, you might be thinking of parrying the charge attack, but this would actually hurt you more than help you, because when parrying his charge attack, he actually recovers very quickly, whereas when he finishes his charge, he does a roll afterwards, and it takes him quite a bit of time until he gets up, which is the perfect opportunity to get a Fable combo off. Afterwards, I pop my Fable Catalyst to refill my charges a bit, and then set a landmine to get a bit more stagger damage. With how much stagger damage I had done so far, I knew if I parried his charge attack and did a charge heavy attack, I should get a stagger break off, which luckily I did. I then decided to go for the Visceral to try and get my 4th charge back. Sadly, I did not get the 4th charge, so I placed some landmines to chip his HP a bit. Tragically, I never did get the 4th charge, so instead of pussyfooting around, I just went for the Patient Smash in hopes it would kill. It did not, but I was able to get behind the green fella, killing him from behind, reminding me of my police officer days. Might not have been the cleanest fight, but I'm just happy it only took me 3 tries to win. That is a massive improvement on my part. After that riveting fight, I leveled my motivity to 61, talked to Belle to take on a side quest, bought the pistol rock drill, which we will discuss in a bit, and picked up the live puppet's axe for its blade. While still in the swamp, I make sure to destroy the 2 puppets of the future. I then blow up a giant scorpion dog for the murderous puppet amulet, and finally find Belle's partner. Only took me 3 runs to finally do it, but I did it. Tragically, her partner is infected, and if only I was cosplaying as a doctor, I could have possibly helped him out. I then come across a little weasel who apparently is deadly allergic to landmines. What a coincidence that I just had a bunch of landmines on me. What are the chances? Also, I kind of forgot at this point you get Robber Weasel's outfit, but I do remember later on to put it on. After that fight, I remembered about our doctor and made an appointment to see him. I ended up using the pistol rock drill out of curiosity, and at first I didn't think much of the weapon, but once I used its Fable art, I knew this weapon had some potential. The pistol rock drill is essentially a crit hitting jackhammer. Its blade's Fable art, Grind, temporarily increases its crit rate. Its handle's Fable art, Furious Forward Stab, which does repeated poke attacks until all Fable charges are used, finishing with a strong thrusting attack. This Fable art right here is what makes this weapon really strong, which you'll see in not too long. With that showcase over with, I upgrade my organ to get a 5th Fable charge, pick up Coil M, which will disappoint me in a bit, further test out Furious Forward Stab on a mutated freak, upgrade my weapons a bit, and take on another freak. Instead, this one can instantly kill me with Disruption, if it so chooses to. For Walker of Illusion, I decided to go with the weapon combo Live Puppet Axe and Electric Coil Handle. I got this weapon idea from a fellow challenge runner, Nova Ride. He did a run in Liza P with Motivity Only, and he showed how strong this weapon combo really is. He also has some really good Liza P challenge runs, so if you're interested in checking him out, I'll leave a link in the description to his channel. With the combined power of Rush Smash and Deus Ex Machina, Walker of Illusion didn't stand a chance. Up next on the boss list is Corrupted Parade Master, where I show how strong Furious Forward Stab is. If I wouldn't have been out of Fable Catalyst, I could have easily used this art twice in a row for a quick win. But sadly, I had to finish the fight the normal way of just thrusting the boss to death. After that fight, I get my motivity to 66, and it's time to finally use Frozen Feast. I'll be honest, this probably wasn't the best weapon dash boss matchup I could have done. My thought process was I could use the landmines at the start to help keep back the first sibling that comes at me, and then use Liberate to go full power and kill the sibling, which did eventually work, but the first few attempts did not go so well. I also remember why I really disliked this fight. Constantly getting yoinked by Detective Go-Go Gadget while fighting another sibling is extremely frustrating. On top of that, accidentally aggroing the other two siblings or being hit from behind by a projectile attack when fighting another sibling just not make this fight very fun, in my opinion. Which I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Green Monster is no longer my least favorite boss fight. Round 2 of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood is now my least favorite boss fight. But with that said, I ended up dying 12 times here. On my 13th attempt, I finally made it to the Elder Brother, which I had no issues taking out with some well-placed landmines. Deus Ex Machina really came in clutch in this run. I then spare Olodaro II since I will need him for later, and pick up a Great Venini collection to be able to buy the Perfection Grindstone. With those two things done, I figured I would take on the Door Guardian with the Coil M blade combined with the Police Baton handle. This was a bad idea. The Coil M is such a heavy blade, and the baton handle in general has a slow moveset, on top of having a short range, leading to a lot of misses and suffering. So after 2 attempts, I gave up on that idea and just went with using Electric Coil Handle instead for Rush Smash. It was slightly better and barely got the job done. After that lovely experience, I found a black cat and gave him a colonoscopy exam with my big jackhammer. And saying that back now sounds really bad to PETA. I started to see a pattern of me killing people, so I figured it was fitting to take Black Cat's identity and become a mercenary for hire. But before taking on my first contract, I needed to do 2 things. First, I needed to get my big drill to +10, and second, upgrade my organ for an extra amulet slot. With those 2 things done, it was time for me to take on my first mission, kill Simon Manus' simp, Laxasia. My plan for Laxasia was pretty simple, if you can believe that. All I had to do in phase 1 was coat my weapon in acid, wait for her to do a red attack, and then use Furious Forward Stab to take off more than half her HP. I probably should have used Grind here, but I kind of forgot about it. So it could have even done more damage than what I did. After getting that art off, I made sure to get my Fable charges back up and beat her the old-fashioned way, or just use some landmines to play it safe. Now, for the second phase, it was a very simple plan, but I kept on dying due to sucking at this game. I ended up dying a total of 10 times. One day I'll first try this phase, one day. So the plan here was to use Perfection Grindstone at the start to guarantee the parries on all of her projectiles and her insanely fast dash attack. Once those were parried, I would rush forward and use Furious Forward Stab to get as many hits off on her as possible. After that, I just placed as many landmines as I could and bait her into running into them, which gave me the lovely surprise on my winning attempt that the landmines can actually break bosses. I had no fucking clue they could do that, and if I would have known, I could have won this fight a lot sooner. I did mess up a bit here though. I should have applied the acid to my weapon before the visceral to get the decay effect off to potentially kill her right after the visceral. But I wasn't thinking at the time. I was still kind of baffled about the landmines exploding and breaking the boss. So instead, I placed another landmine and let it do all the work. Seriously, I had no clue Deus Ex Machina was this good. With Laxasia dead, I find Sophia in a bit of a pickle and decided to help her out. I might be a serial killer and all, but I'm not a monster, and I can prove it. See, the cat likes me so much it lets me pick it up. Or it lets me pick it up because we're both cut from the same cloth and like killing things for fun. Nah, it has to be the good option. To celebrate bonding with the cat, I murder my sister in cold blood so that I could wear her face. I then level my motivity to 74, pick up the Assassin's Amulet to increase crit rate, and upgrade my organ for longer stagger windows. With all that done, time to do what foxes do best, murder! If you can't tell, I can't think of anything for this cosplay. Manus was, funny enough, really easy this time around. Now, I did get smacked around a bit in the first phase since I forgot how to parry most of his moves, but with this being a strength-only run, I took the beating like a tramp. Like a tramp? Like a champ. For the second phase, all I had to do was apply a crit buff to the drill and use my Fable Thrust attack to take off half of Manus' health. I probably could have just repeated this one more time and would have won, but I wanted to make sure he would die, so I placed some landmines down to chip off some of his HP, so that when I would finally saw the opportunity to do the combo again, I would 100% win. Crazy how only 2 runs ago I had died 117 times to this bastard. Just goes to show you that it takes a lot of time and effort to get good at something. Well, for me, anyways. With that done, I had to max out my motivity stat because it just felt wrong not to in a single stat run. And it's finally time to use the true Unga Bunga weapon in Liza P, the club. Wouldn't be a strength run without a bit of caveman action. Sadly though, I fucked up on the first attempt by pressing X twice, thinking I had switched to a pulse cell, which caused me to lose the first try. But it's okay, I did much better the second go around. Now, I debated whether to explain this fight or just show it to all of you. And I decided to just show it because I'm just proud of myself for pulling this off on my second attempt when it usually takes me like 10 plus tries. So I'm just going to stop talking now so y'all can enjoy the fight.
Troublesome little puppet. Your freedom is not but for Carlo. But there's no other way. If you can't find those memories, I'll make you a real human myself. After I lost you. How dare you? You're just a puppet. Nothing more. You're someone who doesn't give up. Who knows?
I'm just as shocked as y'all are that I was able to pull that win off, but with that said, Liza P Motivity Only run finally comes to an end. This was an extremely fun run, and I had a blast with using Deus Ex Machina and all the different Motivity type weapons, which has me even more excited to play the DLC when it comes out. Also, I know I could have become Aladaro III, but I started to get tunnel vision towards the end of the run and messed up some opportunities to cosplay as other characters, but I'm still happy with how the run turned out. With all that said, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, hit that subscribe button. At this time, I would also like to thank my channel supporters. If you too would like to support the channel or have your name in the video, you can click the Patreon link in the description or click the YouTube join button. I also from time to time stream my runs, so you can catch me streaming on YouTube or over on Twitch at Ardain Gaming. I want to thank you all for watching, and until next time, take care.